Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm coming to you to talk to you a little bit more about water, gray water systems, water conservation, and global issues affecting water. Now you can tell I was a little bit frantic in yesterday's episode. I was definitely upset, not having water security, and it was just for a couple days for us, and we still had water at the time. But like I said, it was flooding the yard and we were using twice as much water as we thought we were using. As for how much water you're actually using, I'm going to point you back again to the Sustaining Tree blog. That's just at sustainingtree.com. Shelby and William did this little experiment to see how much water they're actually using every day to see if their system is going to work. They're going to try and do a water collection system with a water pillow. And I'm not going to spoil that for you. I want you to go look at it. But they need to make sure that the amount of water that they're going to be able to collect is at least equal or greater to the amount of water that they need to use every day. And it's so funny because if you meet them, they're the sweetest, humblest people in the world. They are so much more calm than me as well. And it's just funny because Shelby was shocked at the amount of water that she used. Oh, that's so funny. Somebody is asking me right now do I use a big barrel to collect rainwater? I do have that as well. It's not currently hooked up, but I do have a rain barrel as well. I do have that. And so we definitely need to get that hooked up. So what we're using right now is still the bowl system. I think I'm the only one doing it, but we have one little sink that drains upstairs, drips, just a slow drip. And so I've put a pitcher under that and it fills a pitcher every, 6 hours or so, but whatever, it's at least collecting. That is clean water, folks. So I'm not wasting that anymore. Another thing I did, one of the things, and I'm not sure which blog I read had about it, was at night when you go to take a shower, sometimes you warm up the water first. So I actually take a very shallow bath right now. It's better for me because I need the hot water. I have very bad hips as well as Crohn's disease, and a nice hot bath at night really soothes those aches and pains that I have. But I've been learning through Fiat 90 to take a very shallow bath. So I'm using a lot less water there already. But I do wash my hair right now. In the morning, I started washing it again because the shallow bath is you can't wash your hair in it. So I was washing my hair in the morning. So don't waste that warm up water. I put the bowl underneath the sink that I'm using, and let it just warm up I felt like it was just a few seconds, but that bowl really filled up. And then I got my hair wet, turned the water off to soap it up. And then I realized I was going to turn the water back on, but instead I pulled the stopper so the sink was going to collect the water. And I poured that bowl of clean water right on my hair. And so that worked as well. And then I collected that water right out of the sink when I was done. And it was kind of funny because by the end, I thought that water was really cold when it came out of the faucet. But when I went to pour it on my head, I guess that little bit of warmer water at the end and sitting there for a second actually warmed it up, and I was completely comfortable with it. It wasn't super cold or anything. So I was surprised. So that could be something that works for me. Now you can see I have this craziness going on here because I haven't had my hair cut since the whole COVID crisis, and it needed cut right when we got quarantined. So it's a little crazy and it's hard to wash because from here down, this is all split ends, which is also why I can't blow dry it anymore. It has to dry naturally because it's awful. If you blow dry it, it will just stick in one. It's matte. It is not good. And so it's actually working out pretty well. The little bit of gray water that I have is really, I think, all I need to really water the vegetables, because we have broccoli growing right now and I really want to keep that. The broccoli and celery wilt faster than I realized. The broccoli that wilts is the broccoli that has the heads on it. Not all the broccoli got broccoli heads on it, but the ones that have it really need the water, and the celery really needs the water. And again, those hostas, because the deer are coming at night and munching on my smaller hostas, which I want to give the deer that treat. I don't want to take it away from them, but I don't want my hostas to die. And so I'm trying to keep up with those. And then I have some flowering plants that unfortunately the deer have started to eat as well, but the hummingbirds are relying on. And then my next priority for water is the parsley, because that's very important to the butterflies. Now, we haven't seen very many butterflies this year, but we've seen mostly skippers. We normally get the eastern black swallowtail, and we really haven't seen many, but I'm keeping the parsley up just in case. And of course, all the little skippers yesterday were loving all that mud being spread all over our yard because, yes, our well got fixed. It's kind of a funny story. Remember that 4-foot hole they told us they needed? Yeah, if we would have dug that ourselves, we would have dug it wrong. So I am glad that we did not go out there in that heat and kill ourselves digging that hole that we would have dug wrong. We would have thought 2 feet on either side of the well and then 4 feet down, and that's not what they needed. It was more 4 feet starting at the far end of the well and then, extending out. So a total of 4 feet and then 4 feet down. The whole job took them less than half an hour with a bobcat. Of course, the yard, that area is destroyed, and we have to wait for the soil to resettle. But the good news is they disturbed that, and that's where we're trying to put in a berm to control. Our house is halfway down a hill, and we get a lot of rainwater coming at the house. And so we've been trying to create a berm, a little hill garden to collect a lot of that rainwater on its way down. And so they just extended it for us. So that was kind of nice. So we're going to let it rain twice. Then we're going to throw down some landscape fabric or some newspaper. We have some feed bags because of the COVID. We've been buying our rabbits' food, the pellet food, in huge bags, as well as they use litter. They actually use a recycled newspaper cat litter. And that is in one of those 5-layer thick paper bags. And so that actually makes an excellent landscape fabric. So if we have one empty at the right time, we would probably prefer to use that. And then we're going to put down some fresh dirt because our yard is all clay, except for where we have changed the soil. So we're going to have the clay. We're going to let it rain twice. Put down the feed bags, the cardboard-ish feed bags. And then we're going to bring in some fresh above ground soil, kind of nice soil, and then we're going to add mulch, and hopefully we can still find some hostas somewhere and get some fresh hostas out there. But I will say I'm going to put the hostas in a hosta nursery closer to the house. And I want to put them closer to the house because the deer are less likely to eat them there, and I can water them more easily until they grow up a little bit. And then once they're bigger and more mature, then I will move them out into the danger zone. So hopefully they get moved out there by fall. I also don't want to be moving them in the high heat of summer. I don't really want to be putting them in a dangerous area right now. So the other issue why I want to keep them super close to the house is we are in a rabbit epidemic. It's not currently an epidemic or a pandemic. Sorry, it's already hit other areas. It started in China. It's hit Australia fairly hard. And it was kind of welcomed there when it hit because the British soldiers, explorers, when they had come, they had set some rabbits free so that they would have a food source that they knew and trusted. Well, the rabbits, of course, have wreaked havoc on the land. And so when the epidemic swept through Australia and got rid of a lot of those more feral rabbits, they were kind of excited for a while. But then you see what happens, and it's not good. So it has hit Europe, it has hit Australia, so China, Australia, which makes sense, they're fairly close, and Europe. In America, it has hit pockets before, like it's hit one farm here and there. It hasn't been a big deal, and it stayed within a farm population. What we're seeing now in the Southwest is insane. It has jumped species of rabbits, so it is hitting the wildlife. Most of our pet rabbits and meat rabbits come from European rabbits, so it makes sense that those are the ones that were hit first. But it is spread to jackrabbits and I believe cottontails as well. It's very hard hit in the Southwest. It's in 7 states and in parts of northern Mexico. And you're thinking, what's the big deal? Well, it is spreading among rabbit species. We don't know where it would end, and it is highly contagious. There is a vaccine, but you actually have to kill rabbits to make the vaccine. So the vaccine is only available in areas with an epidemic. You have to have a confirmed epidemic, and then they're trying to stop it quickly is the only way to get it. it's just as horrific to make the vaccine. It is not a pleasant disease. It's not like a cold. It doesn't instantly kill them. It's horrific. I won't describe it here. You can go look at rabbit.org or any of your house rabbit resources and look it up. It is epic. It is awful. It is awful. So it hasn't hit our area. So the one way it's really affected us is we have to be very choosy as to where our greens come from that are in our house, because we don't want to be eating a salad, and share a bite of lettuce with a rabbit or something and accidentally kill them. Even if we wash our lettuce as best as we can, it's just an awful disease. You don't want to set it loose in your area. So we have to be super careful with where our greens come from. Of course, since we already got our food from there, but since the epidemic, I will again plug local Homestead products in New Windsor, Maryland. They are amazing. They had safety protocols before anyone else. They're a very local farm. They try and get as much local as they can and support local farms and businesses. They're all around amazing people. So I will plug them. So we've gotten all the plants for our patio garden came from them, because I know I can trust them that there's no secret pesticides in the plants, because some of the ones you buy at popular nurseries or chain stores do have nasties already in the plants. So you have to be very careful where you buy your plants. So we bought our starter plants from there, and we supplement with greens from them that they harvest on the farm themselves. They have a full hydroponic greenhouse that they get a lot of their little greens from. So we trust them explicitly. So how this affects where I put my plants that are outside, we are starting some protocols now. Those in the Southwest that do have rabbits have already learned, and honestly this is a practice in a lot of countries, just not really in America. Take your shoes off. If we were in an area with the epidemic, it would be more than our shoes. We would have a bin there, we'd come in our door, take our clothes off, right? We'd have to go wash and put new clothes on, like we'd full on have to change. We're not in an area where it's hit yet, so we're starting with baby steps. So one of the things we're doing is I have a pair of shoes at the front door, a pair of shoes at the back door, because I'm constantly in and out of the house, especially with watering the plants. And I have a pair of Crocs that I'm wearing inside the house. So I now have inside shoes. So my brand new shoes are at the front door. My old shoes that are beat up are at the back door, just for doing chores in the backyard. And then I have Crocs for in the house. You don't want to cross-contaminate, because if you bring your outdoor shoes indoor, you're spreading that everywhere in your house. The guy behind me, you may not be able to see him. You might have heard him huffing. The dog also, we've experimented off and on with him washing his paws when he come in, because he's also a danger. And you saw that paw plunger. Well, he tolerated it for about a week before he got sick of it. So I'm still working on paw plunger training. I'm just doing it more gradually, and every now and then. I'm not making him do it every time, but we are working our way up to that. And so that's where we are now. I am still using some of the Greywater system. Again, we used double the water for we don't know how long, and so I'm definitely trying to conserve water and use Greywater where I can. Is everybody in the family doing that? I will say no. I keep putting the bowls in the sink and they keep disappearing. But I'm just worried that our water security is a false security. We used a lot of water from our well, and it is the high heat of summer, so I don't want to press our luck. So where I can, I am going to use Greywater. And like I said, I'm really watching my consumption. Like Shelby, again, go to the Sustaining Tree and read Shelby's blog on the day they measured their average water use. I will say we do have the benefit of that. We have a well, and so we have machines on our well, and when it comes in and goes to the first water machine, it actually measures our water usage both daily, and it figures out the average for us. So we're a little spoiled that we have all that. This used to be a farm many years ago, so there are contaminants in the water, and we know that, and so we have some cleaning machines on it. I think we have a softener, a neutralizer, a nitrate machine, I'm not sure what else. So we definitely need to make sure the water that we're getting is good for us. I think that's all for right now, except I'm really looking at water projects in the third world, because I will tell you, it took a half an hour to fix our well, and I was elated for all of 5 seconds before. You can see I started like crying, because I wish it was that easy in the third world. I wish it was that easy in poor areas. In Baltimore City right now, the Franciscan Center, God bless them, every day is taking water to the homeless. They are literally taking it to the homeless, to homeless encampments that they know of, to make sure that the people are staying cool, are staying hydrated. They're taking them brown bag lunches so that they don't overheat on their way to get food. If you saw how frantic I was in my video yesterday, it did turn out I was severely dehydrated by the end of the day. And I thought I was hydrating. It was just super hot, and just the in and out and the stress, I guess, of working on the well. I was dehydrated. I ended up doing bizarre things, like my phone got lost. It was in a closet for like a half an hour before we could find it. Just really stupid airheady things I was doing. And it really brings home the point of what life must be like when you don't have access to water. If you don't have access to clean water and you're not hydrating properly, number one, you're not going to succeed in school. Inner city schools already have the problem of, they're underfunded for what they need. And the kids are coming in with all this social anxiety and anxiety from home life and just life in general. And then they're in the classroom and they're dehydrated, and what that must be like to try and focus and concentrate on your lessons so that you can learn enough to better your situation, right? To better your community. It's just mind blowing. And in third world countries where, people have to travel a great distance to get the water. So you're dehydrated trying to get water. And then you can't go to school because you've spent all day getting enough water for your family, especially in this time of COVID where you're trying to wash your hands constantly. And COVID's absolutely not the only thing that they're dealing with in third world countries, but you understand why more when you look at water issues. Water is so key. It's just so important. And I did find on the International Secular Franciscans website a page on their water projects, digging wells. And it is totally a secular Franciscan project, so I'm hoping to get more information out about that. They did stop at the beginning of the pandemic. They stopped drilling wells, and then I think they realized they have to do it. It is an all volunteer, all secular Franciscans that go down and they work with communities to do this. And it's communities that they know and love and are already working with, and trying to help them get these wells, and that there's a fund and just what they can do to help. So that is, and I don't entirely remember the website. I'm going to put it in the description. So be sure you read my descriptions, folks. That's where I put the links. I try and normally spell them out, over here with ASL. My ASL is very bad. It is, I know a little bit, right? ASL. So I try and finger spell things out for you because it's complicated, but I'm also going to be putting it in the description below. If you're reading on closed captioning, don't rely on that for the websites. Look in the description where I've spelled it correctly. When they put things in closed captioning, it can be a little bit off. And I know I talk a little funny. That is my Pennsylvania Dutch accent coming through. And I know it does not accurately get things when I am giving websites. I know that. Read it in the description below. And again, I'm going to look at that. I know it's at this CIOF website. And I will put that full link. I'm very interested in that. I'm hoping to possibly learn how to Skype people in for these, and then maybe I can get Shelby and William on. It is funny, she said that Greywater Action is a website they've referred to themselves in developing their systems for their house. So that that was a good confirmation. I felt that that was a very good site. I did a lot of research on that, but it's good to have that from her. And so I'm going to try and get her on. I would love to have one of the secular Franciscans involved in the water projects to interview them for you. So I'm trying to do that. God bless you if you have watched this long, and I just want you to try and conserve water, reuse water, think about your water usage, get water out to the people who need it. Just really pray on this issue. God bless you if you're helping us out there. It's how we build a more fraternal world. Remember your brother, whatever happens to the least of these. God bless.